Hey, folks, thanks for tuning into this episode of Real Talk Fishing with No Limits. Today, we are going to go over to Minnesota again and talk to the 2021 National Walleye Tour Angler of the Year, Mr. Drake Hurd himself. Drake is involved with any aspect and every aspect of this fishing industry and all the aspects of being a professional angler. We're going to let Drake's going to show you a little bit of his shop and what's got going on there and just kind of tell you the in and outs of the business of Renegade and Fin Gear and just everything he's got going on. And we're going to talk some fish and tell some stories, talk a little NWT, and reflect on some of those wins he's had in the past. So stay tuned. You're not going to miss this one of NWT Pro Drake Hurd. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning into this episode of Real Talk Fishing with No Limits. Today, we are bringing you the 2021 National Walleye Tour Angler of the Year, the man from Minnesota, the man with his hands in everything, you know, in this industry and what we call the fishing industry and the professional angler. We got Mr. Drake Hurd on the line today. What's going on over there in Minnesota, Drake?
You know what? I'm honestly enjoying the weather. I drove by some lakes, and some of the lakes are already open. And it's like, I don't even have my boat. Like, I haven't looked at my boat. I put my ice fishing stuff away last week, and it's like, oh, okay, I better get going on this now.
You better get it quick. I mean, I've been guiding for I think about 4 or 5 trips out. So obviously the rivers are open and they're open over there. But I think it's time to put the ice fishing gear up.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of talking to my boys, and I'm like, you think we'll go one last time? And they're like, no, Dad, we want to go on the boat. And I'm like, all right, that sounds like a plan. So we put it away. I don't know, a night or two ago, we kind of packed most of it up. So it was good.
And you don't want to see it go in a sense, right? You want to keep those shuttles moving off the shelves and stuff, but Drake's got your fingers and everything, so you got plenty of gear for the open water stuff. So exactly. And you don't have a chance to look at your own boat because you got everybody else's boat in the shop.
Yep, exactly. It's funny because I had, Eric McCoy was here the other night, Justin Sieverding's here today, then I got J.R. Civic coming, and then I got Brian Bjorkman coming, and a few other guys next week. So it's a good scramble. It's fun. It's enjoyable, but it's usually hectic around here between March and May. So
yeah, it's why does everybody wait till the last minute, right?
Yeah, exactly. We should just have our boats in December.
Right. I know they're all waiting to get their boats and that backs up, but that's good. There's a few new names you threw out. Hopefully those guys are all getting into the circuit again this year. And the boat wrapping, man, that's just it's the thing. It's the thing to do. Yep. I mean, you've been doing it a long time.
Yep.
You've had your boat and truck wrap.
Yep.
It's a good business.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those things where I kind of want to just do it for myself, do it for my truck and boat. And then I started doing a few other guys's, and then it really blew up to where, we do roughly 50 to 60 boats and 30 to 40 trucks every year. And I would have never in my wildest dreams thought that we would have done that, So it's one of those things that just kind of helped me stay in this industry like you're talking about and just being in it and being able to fish, full time as much as we can.
It's a great advertising tool out there. People knew how many miles we drive, to these national events. And then, you're going to the Walleyes Unlimited, the Twin Cities Club meeting tonight with Gardena. So there, it's your truck or your boat or whatever sitting out there, the 30, 40,000 miles off the highway. It's a mobile billboard, and a lot of companies get it. Some don't. I'm sure you probably got it broken down for your sponsors and stuff.
Absolutely. It's crazy the amount of impressions you get versus a billboard versus something that's actually moving and catches people's eyes, so it's one of those things.
It's obviously like everything, it isn't cheap or it isn't free, but it's also when you compare, I've gotten billboards for other organizations and stuff like that, and the wrap is considerably less expensive, and I think the impact is tenfold, a static billboard type deal.
100%,
so
100%, right, exactly. So
if y'all looking to get into that stuff, reach out to Drake. You can get your boat, your truck, everything, just making it look pretty.
I do golf carts too. I had 2 people reach out last year like, we want our golf carts done, and I'm like, sure, why not? But I'm like, whatever, Why
not? There's Lewis and Clark Ride Guide. We got a gazillion pleasure boaters, and there's some big ass boats out there.
Yeah.
One of them's got a giant, U.S. flag on it, and it's got Trump written all over the side of it. So this guy's spending, a couple $3,000 out of his own pocket just to just go, check me out,
America.
America. And it's probably, I don't know, 34-foot like cigar boat. You know,
Yeah.
it's loud as hell. You hear
Yeah.
it coming, and then you see it. And of course,
Yep.
everybody hoots and hollers because
Yeah.
we're in
Exactly.
South Dakota, and that's just kind of how things work.
Work. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. 100%.
Before we it's so easy to get so sidetracked and off
Yep.
these things. So I give these guys all just some couple questions to start, but half time we
Yep.
always skip over the first one. But for people that don't know Drake Hurd, obviously they're new to this world if that's the case. But you've been fishing at National Walleye Tour for a while. You
Yep.
got a lot. Just tell us all, where's Drake from? What's his story? How did you get to be
Yeah.
where you are now?
Yeah, grew up in Alexandria, Minnesota, so central Minnesota, and I got to give my dad credit. He kind of introduced me to the sport of fishing and walleye specifically. He loved to chase them, and so that's where I kind of got my start. We started doing some local tournaments. I can remember the very very first tournament I did was a northern tournament, and I don't know if I should be proud or not, but that's what it was. And we took second place. I think we won like $100. I'm sure I got like an M&Ms or a Snickers
Oh,
bar.
yeah,
I
right on.
kept the money, but like it hooked me. Like I was hooked. Like this is awesome. I'm on top of the world. I'm 7 years old, 8 years old, whatever it was. So that was awesome. And then just going from there, we started fishing local derbies and doing well. I mean, we took our knocks here and there, but once we got going and stuff, it just seemed to flow. And then we had the AIM, weekend walleye series, which I'm sure guys, you talked to Brett Kingle about that last, and that was a great start for me to expand, just to still stay in Minnesota, but expand to further reaches. It was pretty fun to do, and we ended up, a team of the year, and then we were runner up the next year, and I kind of told my dad like, hey, I kind of want to keep pushing this to see where I can go, and jumped up to the NWT, and it's kind of been a whirlwind from there. It's just one of those things that you took your knocks, we all took our knocks to get going. The first 2, 3, 4, 5 years, like it wasn't exactly always glorious. It was hard and it was tough, and you weren't cashing many checks. But then, you start going back to locations and
Yeah.
realizing things faster, and you just got better.
Yeah, it's hard to beat the time on the water. I mean, my first year I averaged like 120th.
Yep.
Never been to
Yep.
any of those fisheries.
Yep.
And then the next year
100%.
you come back and you're like, I don't need to take this stuff. This is what I mean, you
Yep.
live 50% learning curve
Yep.
out the window now,
Yep.
and it's way more fun.
Yeah. Oh, and I just feel like it's funny. Like I used to bring all this tackle that I heard like guys would bring, and I'm like, well, I got to have it too. Well, you find that out that like you don't need half of it for one, and you fish your strengths, whatever they
Yep.
are. That's what you fish, because that's what's going to get you someplace.
The only good thing about going to Erie is your boat's clean.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like at the end of the day,
Yep.
you're like, unlike Bago or
Yep.
Red Wing or one of these
Yep.
river systems where you
Yep.
got to have, where
Yep.
you bring everything
Yep.
into your garage. Your
Yep.
garage is like mine times, on
Yep.
steroids because your Vinices, and it looks
Yep.
like a freaking Cabela's aisle.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're
Yep.
just like, I don't know, I just all
Yep.
of it.
Yep.
Because if you don't
Take
bring
it
it, it's the
all.
one thing you need.
Yep.
Or
Exactly.
you break your favorite rod or whatever the case is, and
Yep.
or all of a sudden you wish I had super heavy stuff because I'm fishing 3-mile-an-hour current and all I got is medium. Yeah, it just
Yep. I
it's
know.
a
I know.
yeah.
It's one of those things, and I think it's just learning. It's just one of those things that you just take your licks and you kind of just keep moving forward.
And we'll continue to take those licks, but you also can start
Yep.
delivering some of those
Yep.
licks too.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, and,
100%.
and you obviously delivered a handful of those in 2021 to get
Yeah.
AOI. So that's
Yeah.
it's no easy feat by all means. That was
Yep.
Otter Tail. So that was our
Yep.
first real true points qualifying
Yep.
year. That was a
Yeah.
good year. That was fun.
Yep.
Fun. And McQuaid won that at Otter Tail, and
Yep.
you sealed the deal.
Yep.
I think
For AOI.
you sealed it before we're going into day 3, I believe, right?
Yep, yep. Kind of after day 2, I needed a little help from chasing courts. There was no doubt about it. Someone was looking down on me, and I had 2 unreal days. And after the day 2, I actually slept that night. Like I hadn't slept in probably
I know.
2 or 3 weeks. And like my wife is like, "You were snoring all night long." Like it was just a big relief, because then you could just go out and fish the third day. And Eric having as big a lead as he did, I knew I wasn't going to catch him, but it was just fun to experience those 2 things, me and him together. So
Yeah, that was cool. You can you can thank Hummel and I for not letting Quartz catch any fish that second day. So,
Yeah,
no,
there you go. I appreciate
not
it.
on purpose, Mark. Sorry, but
Yeah.
we beat him to a spot, and he came kind of rigging through it, and we were casting on a rock piles. We're not
Yep.
moving, and so he
Yep.
just had to go. And sorry, Mark, we didn't catch any fish there either, so you really didn't miss out. But
Yeah.
so maybe we
Yep.
didn't have anything to do with it, but
Yep.
he obviously there was some fish there because we were there and he was there.
Yep.
But it wasn't the easiest bite out there at Ottertail by all means, and
No.
it seemed like it for Eric, but
Yep. Well, and even pre-fishing, you talked, like I was talking to him all week. He's staying at my house, and like I was catching more fish than him, but he was getting bigger ones. But it was, he was catching one here, one there, and it was like, well, we'll see what happens, and he just turned it on like nobody's business. So it was good to see.
he opened up that forward-facing sonar, I think,
Yeah.
to a lot of people that weren't paying too close of attention. Him and Tom, and obviously he did it there. And like you said, I remember him saying, "I looked at a fish for hours and thought it was a rock, or just kept throwing at it, and it wasn't a rock; it was a big fish."
It was a big fish. He said, like 20 casts later, all of a sudden the rock moved and it bit. It was just like unbelievable.
Yep, and you would have never known that without it. So
No.
I mean, he would have gave up. He obviously thought it had potential to be a fish, so he kept throwing at it. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's it's not easy. That was a good lake. I wish we'd take these championships with 40 boats to these smaller new places.
Yep.
Now we're going to Lake Huron. We're out to Lake Erie.
Yep.
I don't necessarily get that, but whatever. They're big fisheries. They're good fisheries. It is what it is.
Yep.
But the advantage to a smaller field, like Devil's Lake last year, was great.
Yep.
But being able to go to an Ottertail or a Bitter, a Wabe, a ton. I mean, options are endless over in Minnesota.
Yep. Absolutely. Even in Wisconsin too. Yeah, I think, that's one thing that anglers have pushed for too a little bit. Like, we love going to those spots and we really like the locations, but at the same time, when we have a small championship, like, we should maybe take advantage of some of those things. It's cool to go to some of those smaller towns because they have history of creating, walleyes, and the whole town is there, and it creates excitement. It's one of those things that we enjoy, and the people, I think, come out and watch and enjoy it.
Oh, big time. Ottertail the turnout was huge.
It was massive. Like one of the biggest turnouts they'd ever had, So a lot of those little towns, that's what they live for, is they're fishing, and so they can get behind it,
And they need it. There may only be 40, which is 80 people.
Yep.
But then there's, that it's 100 by the time you bring in tournament staff, media. It's more than 100, and then just like Pickstown last year, right? Super tiny little community.
Yep.
Biggest weigh-in crowd ever by far.
By far. Yep. 100%. Yep. And people were coming. I mean, there was people there from Montana that just wanted to even see it, just to see what it's about and everything. So, it's one of those things I think they'll consider maybe in the future, and we'll kind of see what happens,
Yeah, we'll just keep leaning on them like we are and try to make some things happen.
Yeah.
So I did talk to Theron about that Pickstown tour, but he says, for weeks or even months after, he's like, I'm still getting emails from the locals thanking, us so much for the kids fishing aspect that, you've done and I've done on the back end of these tournaments, and just bringing that to their community, even though the road is closed and they had that kind of stuff. You can't predict those things, a year or two out when they schedule that, but it's huge for those little local economies need everything they can get.
Yeah. And I think that's where, we're there. Yes, I want to beat your face in. I want to win as much money as possible, but we're there to put on a show for the community and for these kids, because without the kids, the youth, like, we're in trouble in the future, So, and I think that's where a lot of people have started to, after we've been there, they see that and what we have capabilities of. So it's fun, and we enjoy it because we love helping the kids and the communities in general,
We do, and you mentioned Eric earlier, and you travel like I do with the team. Takasaki's fishing with us again this year, probably his last year, but he's been telling me that for 5 or 6 years. So
right.
We'll see, but I'd say there's a pretty good chance it probably is this year. We'll get him on here. I think we're going to do an in-person sit down at our house in Erie with him one night. But you got Kevin, Eric, yourself, and I don't know, Stacy, I think, right?
Yep. Stacy Forsberg. Yep.
So you got, Kevin's been doing this stuff for the dawn of time, right? Ever. And he's just the nicest, most genuine dude you're ever going to meet, man.
Yeah, like, I've never seen him get heated or heat down or anything. Like, he's just even keel the whole time, He could be on 50-pound sacks for 5 fish, and and he's even keel, or it could be on 5 pound. He's just, that's how he is, and he has been there, done that type of guy where he's just been everywhere, and he's got so much knowledge. And I think that was one of the things that me and Eric have learned is just soak it up as best we can, and then try to put our little twist on it, because he's been there, done that.
Yeah, and he could zero, and he's like, He could be in first place, and he's like,
Exactly.
there's still tomorrow. It's just.
And that's what I've tried to learn. I've gotten very emotional over the years, and I'm trying to just stay more even keel. It seems like some of those guys, they know how to stay even and can do it. It's just learning, maturing, and everything else. It's fun to watch. So
good for them, but we're not all cut that way. I mean, no. Randy's the opposite of me and keeps me balanced, because I'm high speed, go, and he's just like Kevin. He's just like, that's why I say Randy. I think him and Corey Springer are the best two crawler harvest guys pulling I know. Yeah, and a lot probably don't even realize that with Randy, but he's done well whenever he's pulling harnesses. It's because he's so patient and just chill. Mm-hmm. That's so slow for me. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't go that slow. I'm putting cranks on and I'm going faster. I just, I whatever. I do it and it works, but I learned a lot of that from Randy. But it's just, Kevin's just and Eric's such a spitting image. But he grew up traveling with his dad, going to these at MWC. I mean, it's kind of like the Jason and Jay Shakir type thing. Yeah, when you grow up around it, that's what you are. And obviously, you have fished with your dad, and your dad's been traveling with it, which is super cool. And I think last year was John's last year.
Yeah, it's up for debate. We'll kind of see. I don't know.
They'll say it is, right? They're always like, I retire, I'm done, and then they come back next year and do one here, one there. And
I think he'll do it kind of as long as I do it, but he's he's showing his age a little bit, but one of the things that he always just wants me to learn more, and he's there no matter what. It's one of those things where I get off at the end of the day and he's still there to help me with stuff, even though I'm tired and I'm 36 years old, he's double my age basically. Right. And I'm sure he's exhausted, but he's there to help, so it's special for sure.
Oh, Randy's having a boat. I had the privilege of having him a boat. I had him at Chamberlain. Yep. The last time we were there, it was the electric storm, right? You're casting your line out, and your line was going straight up. Yep. Exactly. Right. And, it's so calm out there in the morning. We're fishing the Crow Creek area that I remember you were right by us. Yep. And it's so quiet. You could hear everybody talking. Yep. And you catch one, and I think we've caught maybe one or two. And I'm just like, here, John, just put this on and just start whipping it over there. There's, how that, there's fish everywhere there. Just start casting. Scattered. Yep. And you pop one and you weigh it, and it's like 1.6, 1.8 or something. Probably an 18-incher. And you're like, throw it in the box. Boom, we pop one, and it's like 1.86 or something. And John looks at me and said, throw back. And he just like, what the hell? I'm like, throw it over. And it was, and I think his next cast, he gets like a 21. Yep. Or a 20. He's like, oh. I'm like, see, they're bigger. They're better than that. They're bigger. Yeah. Hindsight 2020. I think we needed that 18-incher at the end of the day. I was like, I lost a few. We still got them, but then that storm rolled and everything went to absolute crap. Yep. So we took off, and we're fortunate that the second spot was damn near underneath the bridge, so we weren't as bad as the rest of you. Yep. But I'm pretty sure
I had my trolling motor on like 10, and I was like 10 feet off of shore, just trying to stay close to a shoreline. It was crazy.
Without getting blown into the shore too, probably. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was like, I don't know, 60 mile an hour straight wind came through there. It was just, we knew it was coming. Yeah. I just moved us because I remember later in the evening, Hoyer's like, you got like some internal weather? I'm like, I have eyeballs. I looked to the south and went, it's time to go.
No, we got to move.
The way this, and it just, I could just tell that bite was getting weird there, and it could have been to the pressure, or it could have, I don't know. They should have been lights out with that low pressure movement. But
absolutely.
Those corners, I mean, you got to take 2 turns to get down river, and every time you turn a corner, you're like, oh, there's new stuff I didn't see coming. Same with when you're up in Mowbridge or something, because you're 20 miles. Granted, we're only like 7 miles from a boat dock there, but most of the time you're so far away that if you don't get moving way ahead of what you think you need to, you're stuck in that crap. Yep.
You're in trouble big time.
Yeah, it's it sneaks up on you real bad in the river, and you're just screwed. I don't know how many times guys stories, and I think Shimoda did it, and Springle did it once up Mowbridge, where they just they just beached their boat and had to crawl up underneath the dash. Yeah. To hide. Right, from the hailstorm and whatever else. But
and we always wait to the like we should go 15 minutes
No,
earlier. But we're like, oh, we'll try to get one more bite, or we want to check one little spot, and no, never works out. You're always in trouble.
no, it's because you're so far up or down river. It's like, I don't want to, and trailer in your boat. Some of these places you
Yep.
might have 5 miles or a couple miles of gravel. And
Yep.
yeah, we do
Exactly.
stupid shit. That's just all there is to it. I mean, it's just, but
100%.
it's this part of the game, man.
Yep.
It is what it is, but it's what makes it awesome.
Yep. Absolutely.
Traveling with Eric, Kevin, Stacy. I got Randy and
Yep.
Ted, and I think Sam Capelli's fished with us this year.
Yep.
And it's that camaraderie. I'm not a big team type thing, and I've illustrated before. I'm
Yep.
like, I don't
Right.
really care for this, but I sure as hell enjoy having everybody in the same house.
Yep.
Comparing
100%.
notes and stuff is
Yep.
great, and obviously just making it less expensive because
Yep.
the shit ain't cheap.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. But oh yeah, and that's half of it. I mean, they just hanging out at night, grilling or cooking or whatever. Like that's half of it is we get to hang out with some of the best guys in the country. Just to learn from them and just laugh and giggle over some beers. It's one of those things that's part of it. And I think a lot of us would go insane if we were just in our own hotel room by ourselves, for a week straight. And just constantly fishing, you're going to rack your brain over so many things. So.
Oh yeah, I was solo at Devil's Lake because Randy shit the bed and didn't make the championship, basically.
Yep.
So did you hear that, Randy? Don't do that again.
Don't do it again. He's threatening you. Yeah.
Right. But I was on the phone every night, and he's like, "Hey, did you go here? Did you do this? Try this. Do this."
Yep.
Back when I was there, whatever. And then finally, eventually, one of the co-anglers that stayed with me showed up, and so you had somebody. But then again, and Courts and his guys were next at the house next door, so there's people to talk to and whatever.
Yeah.
But you also sun up to sundown. You get in, you get ready for the next day. You maybe eat some crap, something from somewhere, right?
Yeah,
and you're out. It's not hard to fall asleep.
Exactly.
On the road at all.
Yep.
Oh, you're busy, man. You did the show last night between the hook sets with Kurt Underhill and Chase and Walter.
Yep.
You're doing this today. You got Twin Cities Walleye Unlimited. You and Cardenas tonight.
Yep. Heading over there tonight, and then I got to wrap another boat tomorrow, and then in the evening I'm actually heading out your way. I got to go to Pier. We need to shoot some video stuff for Camus Boats, some of their photography and video stuff that they want. So I'm going to get old Severding, and he's getting a few buddies there, and we're going to try to film some stuff and get some content for those guys. So
yeah, it's supposed to be pretty nice out this weekend. It's a little cooler. I'll be in Chamberlain Friday, Saturday guiding. So it was supposed to be a real nice Saturday, but it brought the temp down a little bit. But I don't know when you're gonna be there on the weekend.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'll just Friday night, Saturday, and part of Sunday. I'm sure I'll make my way back Sunday.
Sunday looks, but Friday will be good because I think it's maybe some cloud cover. So that'll
just as like I told him, just as long as it's not bright and not a cloud in the sky. And I said, then I'll be a happy camper.
Yeah, I think that's what you're going to get on Friday.
Yep.
Which is good. People that aren't in the photography, videography world probably don't get that. Sometimes that
exactly. Like what are you
crappy
talking
weather
about?
makes crappy weather is a lot better. Than bright sun.
Yep.
What's up in the so for those that don't know, you got Fin Gear, Renegade, DekIt. I mean, the list goes on and on. You're like I said, he's a man with his hands and everything.
Yep.
What's happening in the Fin Gear world?
The Fin Gear, it's crazy. I'd have never thought it would be what it is today already. I mean, we're only 4 years into this thing, and it's just a blast. Like every day, there's a new challenge. We're trying to gain new markets, and this forward-facing sonar thing is kind of going crazy at the same time. So that's a big part of it, our poles. And then, rod holders, graph mounts, tracks, all sorts of things. It's just crazy the amount of people that are changing the way they fish to this stuff and how things operate. So it's been a blast. There's been a lot of challenges along the way. Someone was trying to call me.
Oh, yep. It silenced for a second.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been a wild ride, and we're hoping it's going to continue as we just keep working hard. I was going to, maybe at the end, I'll walk through my shop because it's funny. You'll see, on the one side, they're making fishing lures. In the middle is fin gear. And then on the other end of the shop in the other building is wrapping. So we're doing all three things, and it's just going crazy. So I can't complain. The lure thing, ice fishing was a little tougher. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's just not as many people got out, but
Yeah.
I think we're almost getting a head start on the open water because people are buying open water stuff, and I think people are excited to just get out and fish. A lot of people use it as their release, and they didn't get to ice fish that much. So now that we might get open water early, around here, I think people are excited and anxious to get going on that.
Yeah, for sure. I had clients out the last few days and it was tough. We got fish.
Yeah.
But it wasn't typical Chamberlain fishing where
Yeah.
it's 30, 50, 70,
Yep.
80, 100
Right.
fish a day. It was like
Exactly.
maybe 4, maybe 8,
Yep.
all
Yep.
good, healthy fish, not, really small ones, but they're there.
Yep.
What sucks is they're there and the water's pretty clean. It's 35 to 38 degrees, but
Yep.
they're not biting
Yeah.
anything,
Yep.
and then you'll have a little window. It's like whack, whack, whack. And
Yep.
then
It's
it's
done
over.
again.
But I think
Yep.
it's just, yeah, it's getting better every day.
Yep.
But same deal. Everybody's like, this is fine. Yeah,
Yep.
it's not, lights out fishing, but it's not
Yep.
staring down a hole.
Yep.
They're not sitting in their cubicles
Yep.
or whatever the case is.
Yep.
They're just happy to
Exactly.
be out. It's been 60-some degrees in February, and early March is it's hard to beat.
Yep. Exactly. And I think that's where we're starting to feel that around Minnesota and across the country, essentially.
Oh, Minnesota. So how's that running businesses out of Minnesota? Boy, you get enough challenges over there?
Yeah, the old taxes. I know. I've debated. I told my wife a few different times. It was like we need to look at a property in South Dakota and see what's going on over there. But it's crazy. It's fun though. I have some of the best employees. Like I couldn't do what I do without them. So every chance I get, I thank them because it's not just about me and this company. Like without them, I'd be screwed. And they all work extremely hard and I try to treat them well as best I can, and that's where I think it's a very good relationship that I have with my employees because I call their families, their friends and family that I'll do anything for, and so it's good. And I just wouldn't have it any other way.
It is tough, very tough to find good help, and if you get it, sometimes there's just the price you pay, and
Yep.
and you're in the heart of, the most walleye or northern,
Yep.
basically fishermen community in the upper Midwest anyway.
Yep.
We got great tax benefits over here, all these wonderful political things going good in South Dakota, but we don't
Yep.
have the people to sustain, and
Yep.
but look,
Yep.
we got Justin Seaverday, we got these,
Yep.
we got guys coming North Dakota, South Dakota driving over to you to get your boat wrapped.
Yep.
So,
Yeah,
even there,
it's crazy. I get guys from all over the country now, Montana, Iowa, Missouri, Nebraska, Kansas, and they want to come up here and just see the shop and kind of experience what I'm seeing, just trying to live in this fishing industry. And it's fun sharing with those guys and then hearing their stories too. I've gained so many friends just because of that. It's crazy to see.
and it's just awesome that they're driving by other places that can
Yep.
do the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. They're
Yep.
not Drake Herd quality
Yep.
over there,
Right.
renegade innovations by all means,
Yeah,
but
they're probably better, to be honest. No.
but they're supporting your small business. They're supporting you. It's just,
Yeah.
that's awesome. The fishing
Yeah.
community, the people in it are just, they're the
Yep.
most, they're good people.
Yep.
Now there's
100%.
definitely some bad eggs, and
Yep.
it's the
Right.
most group of people that like to talk and like to make up rumors and
Yep.
and tear other people down. But that's
Yep.
just in general business, and anytime
Yep.
anybody's successful,
Yep.
everybody's your enemy.
Yep.
In some sense. So
Yep. Right. Exactly.
I think it's the haters will hate and
Yep.
the winners
We'll just
win.
keep doing our
Just-
thing.
We're
Yep.
just going to
Exactly.
do our thing and
Yep.
ignore the noise and move on, because it's a long game. As Brett King, if you've listened
Yep.
to the last podcast,
Yep.
stated that this industry, you've made it look like it's pretty quick, but you're
Yep.
also not doing one thing. You got to
No.
wear several hats,
Yep.
because when
Yep.
economy or the market drops on this, maybe this, just like I
Yep.
said, ice is kind of slow, but I'm getting a bonus,
Yep.
jump on early
Yep.
season stuff,
Yep.
right?
Absolutely.
So that's going to even out, and it doesn't happen overnight. You've been doing
No.
this for a long time. People think,
Yep.
I've just heard of him the last couple of years. It's like, no, he did this for
Yep. Yeah.
5 years before you knew him.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Like my company, some of them are, 16, 17 years old. And, I've been doing it for that long and I'm only 36, so it's just one of those things. And I always and I still do, I should say, look up to Brett King because he's been there, done that type of guy. He's an older guy. Always, thought, did it right and helped me a lot whenever I had questions about things. I could bounce it off of him, and he's the same guy. He probably could have, like he said, been full-time fishing and only done that, but he didn't know, so that's why he's with Yarcraft, or he was doing his other things too, because you don't know when stuff is going to turn down. So we grab as many avenues as we can, and hope and pray and hold on for the ride.
Another guy, which if he doesn't leave, Sieverding sitting over there behind you in his boat ramp, is just a serial entrepreneur as well. That's knows a thing or two about this industry and the ins and outs. And I mean, we all learn the hard lessons on this is what you don't want to do, because it does not work.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to cost you a lot of money.
And I never, I've known Sieverding now for 8 or 10 years. I never knew he had his hands in so many things too. He just kind of goes about his business and does his stuff. But it's crazy the amount of stuff he's done in his young life too. It's one of those things where he just has his fingers in everything too. And it has to,
That's Cardenas did this great last year, and it was actually Hummel I did years ago. I think I don't know if FLW or PWT did it, but Angler Profiles, and he did that. And I brought it up to Robert years ago and said, hey, come championship time, take the top 40 and have everybody fill out this forms. If they don't turn in, that's their own fault. People want to know. Hummel always told me, he's like, you got fans. He's like, my grandma's your fan, man. And she wants to know what you do when you're not fishing, right? And I think and that's why I started this. And Cardenas did a good job last year with all the profiles for the championship. My wife was reading it, loving it. She's like, oh, Tom Wynn does nails, right? Blew everybody's mind.
Exactly.
A nail shop. And, this guy does this and this guy does that. And she's like, she just loved reading them every day. Like, oh, these are great. I had no idea. And even, many of us have no idea what the other guy.
No. I know there were certain times where I literally screenshot it. I would circle it on my thing with my finger, and I'd send it to the guy and just be like, I'm giggling at this, or you win today with this comment. It's just fun talking to him and learning how everyone mixes and matches in this whole thing.
Yeah, and I think that stuff's probably good for the fans, the followers, whoever, to get to see that, and they can relate to that. 99% of these professional walleye anglers have other jobs. Most of us have businesses or whatever that allows that flexibility and freedom to take off for a week. But unlike, the Bass Elite Series guys or whatever, that is their job. And it has to be, because they just jump from tournament to tournament to tournament. And it's obviously just a bigger industry with some better opportunities financially for some, if they know how to, work that and play that game right. Which that's a whole nother
avenue.
It's a whole nother place. I don't know if you ever got a fish. So Brent Hendrickson used to travel with us, and this always blew people's mind. That he's a surgeon in Sioux Falls here.
Okay.
And if you didn't know Brent, back a couple years back, he had kind of long blonde hair. He's
California surfer dude.
Yeah, kind of looked like that. He's the old college wrestler, fit, health, good. Just an awesome dude and super humble. You have no idea. You have no idea that he's
saved people's lives, done all.
Yeah, well, he's an oral surgeon. So he's got like a dental doctorate and then a doctorate, but he has his God damn, I can't, River Ridge Dental, and he pulled my kid's wisdom teeth. But he does like reconstructive. If you were to get run over by a tractor on your face, they call him to come fix it and put your jaw and all the stuff back together. I think it was Stahusky was talking to us once. He's like, you do what? He's like, I thought you were like a vet when they said Dr. Hendricks, not a surgeon,
Like, no, I do something a little more important. Exactly.
Because you would never know that he drives a little older Dodge or Chevy truck, and it's just I just wish he'd fish with us again. But his kids are at that age where he's involved with stuff, and just like yours are. And is the plan to get the oldest boy on tour?
At some point, he is asking more and more. I fished my first tournament with him last year, and I think I hooked him. He was 8, and he is just and we got the entry fee for that tournament. It's just a local little, Lonnie Schultz Invitational tournament and on Lake Meltona, and he's hooked now. And I'm just like, oh boy, I don't know if I should have did that so soon. He's 8, so
he's 8.
Yeah. But I would definitely love to get him. I mean, I look at, Gary brought Chase along, Kevin brought Eric along, and I'm sure there's, multiple others that did that. I'd love to do that at some point. And that's why I hope, AIM sticks around for forever and some of these local ones, just because then I can do those with him to get him some experience doing it.
But there's no better way to learn than to jump in one of those. AIM's a great
Yeah.
circuit, great way to do it. Another great, group of guys and a term that's ran well.
Yeah.
It's not, doesn't cost you all that much to get in it.
Yep.
It's just, and this, the format is simple and it works for everybody. You don't have to worry about slots and you just go fish. Just go catch a lot of fish.
Exactly.
And I mean, I think we all cut our teeth fishing a little local derby, a little club type circuit with your uncle, your dad, your whoever.
Exactly.
If anybody, when and if you got into it young, when you're getting into them in your 20s and 30s, you're probably fishing it with a buddy. And, the learning curve is obviously condensed nowadays. I think you see that in the Bass Elite, right? Look at all these rookies. I mean, Trey McKinney just won the Elite Series last 18 years old. And just turned 19, a week for this tournament.
Exactly.
And I think, so there's 9 rookies in the Elite Series Tour right now. I want to say 3 or 4 of them were in that final cut.
The one heavy set guy that throws a jig like 99.9% of the time. I can't.
Trey Williams.
Yes, there you go.
Trey Williams.
Yeah,
he's a rookie. Another guy was a rookie 2 years ago. But I mean, and Jay Shakirik did it.
Right. Yeah.
2 years ago. So obviously all the scuttlebutt, right? It's forward facing. So these rookies are cleaning house. You saw them using it, but they weren't all using it, or they weren't married to it. It was obviously a tool, but I think it's got to have something, right?
Oh yeah,
is it just,
absolutely.
I mean, are they winning or competing with the OGs just because they're so much better at it? They grew up with it in a sense. I guess they embraced it probably more.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to it. I mean, you learn so much. People always think it's just about catching more fish. Well, no, I learned how they position on structure now. I learned how they sit in rocks now, how they sit in weeds, above the weeds, buried in the weeds. Like, you learn so much more information than just catching the fish itself. And I think those guys realize that and are using that and processing it as to how to catch more bass, and that's how I use it to catch more walleyes, even like Sault Ste. Marie and all these places. Like, it's just baffling to watch how these walleyes work when 5-10 years ago we would have never even seen that or thought about it,
Right. We have no idea where they're positioned, right? And bring that plastic across the top of those weeds versus dropping it down in there and ripping it, or vice versa. You got to get it down in there and rip the hell out of it. Or they don't want it moving at all. You're going way too fast, right? You're ripping it right by them. It's I think
that's where, I mean, I look at like Devil's Lake. The amount of fish that I had follow my bait was crazy. And before that, you'd have never known. And now you can trick them, or try to trick them, but a lot of them still go down, So it's just how much you can learn and how fast you can process it. It's not, like I said, always catching the fish. It's just all the other intangibles that go with it.
You still got to get them to bite. You got to find the right lure, jig, whatever it is to get them to follow. You have to find them. So, I mean, it's obviously a tool to help eliminate water faster. Somewhat. I mean, you're obviously not driving at 20 mile an hour with it in the water trying to locate fish.
Exactly.
But you can scan in a pretty big area fairly quick and just be like,
go on,
move on. Whether that just may be a point or a structure. But there's obviously bad to it too, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the biggest thing we need to just teach people about catch and release. And the bear trauma has been a huge talking point this winter, with all that stuff going on. So I think it's just educating people on, hey, this is a resource and we better not take advantage of it, or our youth, and maybe in 15 years, we might not have these resources. So I think that's a big part of it. And we have to make sure those are in check, moving forward too, at the same time.
Yeah, the conservation aspect of it's been a debate forever for
Yeah.
not just forward facing sonar, but just in general. And you've
Yep.
seen a lot of new regulations come out this year. Obviously that, Wisconsin's got that citizen resolution, I think they
Yeah.
call it,
Yeah.
right on the
Yeah.
ballot right
Exactly.
now to
Yep.
ban
Yep.
forward facing and
Yep.
the 360,
Yep.
which if enough haters
Yep.
show up or
Yep.
concerned citizens in a sense come up,
Yep.
I
Yep.
guess they'll win.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
that's how the democracy works.
Yep.
So,
Exactly. Yep.
but
Yep.
I was told by until then, and you know as well as I do, it's a tool. You better have it in your toolbox, and you better
Yep.
learn
Learn it
to
quick.
learn it, or you're just make sure you're donating your money.
Yep.
No,
Yep.
it doesn't mean you're gonna win because you got it or you're good at it. But I mean, Hoyer would beg to differ that, right?
Yep.
Because he's clearly showing us
Yep.
a
Yep.
thing or two, and same
Yep.
with Tom and Dewey's been
Yep.
good at it.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter if you got a Garmin or a Lowrance or a Bird.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
Yep,
and that's just it. And I think a lot of us are still learning too as to what we can push the limits to help us too. It's one of those things that we're trying to learn as fast as we can too. Even though like I've had it for now, I think 7 years, and the first few years, like I did well on it with some things, but I didn't realize what I had in my hands until like 3 years ago, and I was like, oh, okay, this is way more intense than I thought, so one of those things.
I use mine. I got the Humminbird. I had a good update there today, and I've always kind of said I can't track my jig, which honestly I don't. That's fine. I'd rather just see the fish and kind of. But if I can see the fish reacting to my jig, that would help. Versus just seeing the fish going. Right now, I'm looking at it going, all right, it's not a rocket swim. I'm going to throw at it. But I also can't tell you what I'm looking at for species and necessarily size so much on that. But the new update, way better. Now I can track. I can see my jig 20, 30 feet out, which I couldn't before.
Yep.
And I'm seeing a little bit of better separation and difference in the size of the blobs that are moving on the screen. But
exactly.
But I'm also in the river, and that stuff's a little trickier in the river because those fish are on the move.
Yep.
So,
oh yeah. Just wait till you got like a 3 mile an hour current and you're trying to cast at once. You got to lead it by like 5 feet, and then you got it's a good. And then you reel in quick because you're like, damn it, that's not going to work,
That's not well. That could be red wing, right? So I don't think we're going to get too much current because we don't have any runoff.
No, and I was talking to Brett King, and we fished that freezer butt off last weekend. Me and Eric McCoy did, and we ended up 19th. But like, there is zero flow, there is zero runoff. The water is already super low, and we're only in March. Like, I don't know what exactly is going to shake down. We'll see, how much rain and stuff we get, but it's like, oh boy, this could be interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty dry around here, and the same on the Missouri River at Chamberlain is at least. I set my water level offset 3 feet the other day.
Yep.
So it's at least 3 feet low, zero current. Nothing coming. They don't plan on releasing or pushing any water. I don't think most of this month, which is probably why that bite's kind of tough up there, even though it's warming up. But usually that shallow water bite, you don't need a lot of current. They're there, and they're going. It warms up a couple more degrees, they'll fire. But so let's go into that. The Red Wing. We start off. Let's talk NWT. We got Erie, Red Wing, Green Bay, Skakawea, which we all love.
Yep.
And then the Great Lake Huron.
Yep.
Which,
we'll see how that one goes. I mean, I think we're all nervous about it, but we haven't, we haven't been. We went there one time. We were way up the river, and so I don't know. We'll see how that one goes. But honestly, I mean, I'm kind of excited to get out and get going. I mean, Green Bay, I like. Red Wing is close, so I've been there enough. It'll just be a big change this year, especially with the 4 fish type of thing. Green Bay, the 3 fish thing is be even tougher yet, it's just, it seems like they're making it tougher on us, and we're not trying to, but it's just like, man, that's going to be so hard, on decision making. So, and then I think, Sakakawea, I think we're all excited to get back to North Dakota. I think a lot of us love North Dakota. We love South Dakota too, the Missouri River, but we didn't get to go to North Dakota for a stretch there because of some of their laws and stuff. And it'll be fun. I think at Sakakawea it should be a blast of catching fish, and we'll see what happens. It's the last one, so see what happens.
We're limited 5 fish there, nothing to play with, and that can. The good thing about going there, and we're August 1st into July, is it doesn't matter when you go.
Yeah, No, no, exactly.
Like Green Bay, we could or could not be hitting that at a
Yep,
an opportune time.
yep, yep.
But Skakwe, it don't matter. You can
No,
go now. You can
yep,
go and right
yep,
for free. It don't matter. Just go. You're gonna
yep.
catch fish. Just find them.
Yeah, yeah,
You know.
it's a I think it's a super unique system just because there are so many options. It doesn't matter when or where, you just got to find them, they're there, so.
And you can fish your strengths. So
Yep,
that's
yep,
my that is my favorite lake. And I was there in October, and I think it's
yep,
actually the first time I didn't catch a check there, which sucked, but
yep,
we still caught a lot of fish, and it was
yep,
fun. It was
yep,
windy, which made things challenging, but
yep,
there's Devil's Lake is a similar place where you can fish your strengths no matter what. There's
yep,
fish to be caught
yep,
everywhere.
yep,
Winnebago, kind of a
yep,
system where do what you want to do.
yep, yep.
You know,
Yeah, and that's where I like as long as we're catching fish, we're not beating our heads against a wall. Like I mean that's part of it is we want to go there and catch fish, and show off what it actually offers, and so I think we'll see. Erie's going to be interesting to where if guys are going to
yeah,
cast or troll. Like it has been on hot topic with a lot of guys
yep.
and I'm sure you guys are talking about it a lot. Like it's always been a trolling thing, and John kind of cracked it a little bit in New York, and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see who dominates there, on the casting versus trolling type of thing.
You got to see at least 85% of the guys that practice one time or another with their head
Yep.
stuck in the
Oh
screen.
yeah.
I mean, I know I will be. I can
Yep.
guarantee you will
Yep.
be. Eric
Yep.
will be.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just
Yep.
you got to
Yeah.
try it, and if you
Yep.
get out something that works, you're gonna be like, hell yeah,
Yep.
Because if I can
Exactly.
pick out that 7-8 pounder versus now
Yep.
the difference
Brand.
is you got one rod versus four
Yep.
because
Yep.
here you can all four can go,
Yep. Yep.
and
Yeah.
maybe they're all
Yeah. Just
4, 5, 6 pounders, but
Yep. Yep. Exactly. And then you're like, oh boy. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see, and the weather could be a big factor there.
oh yeah,
If we're in 4-footers, it's gonna make it super interesting to try to live scope stuff
right.
versus just trolling and seeing what happens. So
We're in 4-footers. It's going to be interesting.
yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
gonna, and if it
Yep.
gets gnarly, it gets muddy.
Yep.
Right, the wind
Yep.
blows
Yep.
and
Pick
just
up.
muddies it up. It can just shut the whole place down.
Yep. 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 Exactly. And so, the last time I think we were there in the spring, Deaf and Ball won, but it was so muddy that you were literally, it was the only time I've ever had to worry about getting 5 bites. Like it was crazy how
Oh yeah,
tough it got instantly,
there was a lot of zeros. I think that was what Brett
Yep.
was referring to in the last podcast where he's like,
Yep.
I zeroed. I said, I
Yep.
know. I went to the reef, jigged up 5 and trolled all day. And if I would have trolled all day, I would have had 0.
Yep.
But I just
100%.
went
And I would have never, and knowing what I know now, still, I'm like, I don't know if I still would have caught him. It was just one of those things that it was so dirty and so crazy weather that we just couldn't do anything.
No, that's what I told Brett. I said, we was in the same pack. I said, I counted 92 boats. And nobody was hardly catching any fish. You saw one here and there. I mean, if you got them, they were good ones.
Yeah, right.
But I said, that's why I went and spent 15 minutes day one, jigging up 5, threw them in the box, then troll.
Yep.
Next day, it happened to take an hour because it got a little colder. I had to switch to a blade bait versus a ripping shad, and still got them. It's not much. It was like 2 days for, I don't know, 12 pounds or something. But it wasn't a 0.
Yep, 100%. And that'll be interesting if we run into that. What guys will do. So we'll see.
Yeah, I would have. I'm guessing it won't happen just because there's not. I mean, it's going to have to blow like hell. But with the early spring and everything moving, and they're already out there just laying into them.
Yep.
It should be good. I don't know.
I think so. I hope so. Knock on wood. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
We got pretty blessed last year with great weather at all tournaments. And a decent bite at all of them. So yeah, this one will be interesting. I think Red Wing, you're right, is going to be.
It'll be
something
interesting
weird
too. And then the fact that we're going out of 3. That adds a little bit of an aspect to it too. So
right, it's a Red Wing tournament, not out of Red Wing anymore.
Yep, exactly, out of Treasure Island. So that's gonna complicate things. We'll kind of see what develops there, but
because Pepin's in 4, and you got lockdown.
You got to lock down, and then if the water's low, you can't run the back channel, so you got roughly half hour, 40 minutes going down current of slow no wake. So it could take you, an hour and a half just to get down to the lake itself. And that's head of the lakes where the fish might not necessarily be in May. I mean, they could still be there. We'll see how the spring develops. But a lot of times they're down in the actual
In the
lake. You got to
lake.
go down. Yeah. And so it's going to be interesting. And then you got the lock. Like, I got caught in a lock down at Red Wing 2 or 3 years ago. And I'm like, God, I'm never going to make that mistake again. Well, now I might have to go back and deal with it again,
So you're dealing with an hour plus boat ride down,
Yeah.
plus the lock?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's basically if we can't run the back channel, we got those 2 slow no wakes that it could take a long time to get down there.
All right. And then you obviously got to get back. So you might be dealing with a 3-hour, 4-hour fish time.
Yep, exactly. You better make sure by noon, 1 o'clock, you're thinking about getting your butt back up into 3. Otherwise, you get one of those behind one of those big double barges, and you're sitting there for 3 or 4 hours, and that's never a good thing. So
no, that's always the thing at Prairie du Chien, because I'm always locked up and went. But really close to it to where I can watch them, and obviously those lock masters are cool and good to work with, and they give you their phone number, and then I can't remember what the app is that you can watch those things moving in real time.
Yep, exactly. And so we'll see. I mean, 3 probably, has great fish in it. It's just, it fishes smaller when you got that many boats, and these guys are good. So like, no one's going to miss anything. So, pre-fishing, I think a lot of like the wing dams and stuff will get beat on to where they won't hold fish anymore, just for the simple fact that everyone's going to find them. So, it'll be interesting. I mean, maybe we'll get 6 feet of rain and we'll all be giggling about it later on, but we'll see, so.
That will definitely change things. And we need it. So I guess it doesn't need to come at once, but it can go ahead and start now.
Trickling in now. That'd be perfect.
We don't need 10, 12 foot of snow like California got, but California, that's karma.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Right. That's just how that works. So what else have we got covered? We kind of went into everything. The Bassmaster Classic's coming up. I know you're going, I'm going. There's quite a few of us going down there. It'll be it should be a good time. It's like I said, I'm going because it's only 8-hour drive for once. I'm going to hang out in the Seaguar and in the St. Croix booth a little bit. Look at some other deals and just see what it is that, did we lose you? They're doing that, that we're not. So if you do lose, you just sign back in.
There we go. Got another phone call and I tried to delete it.
Yeah. Did not work.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, like, if you've never experienced a classic, like, people should go and experience a classic one time. I mean, this will be my 3rd one now, and I still get giddy about it because it's so fun to watch and just the experience and seeing that many people behind the fishing industry and growing the sport. They've done a hell of a job with it, and it should be a blast. I mean, we know, I know, probably a dozen guys, but I know 3 or 4 of them very well that a lot of us walleye guys are rooting for. So we'll kind of see what happens.
We got Wiesner. Wiesner made it, right?
Wiesner. That'll be huge. Adam Rasmussen made it. Yep. Jay Shakur made it. So there's a few of those guys. Kyle Kilpatrick that I know very well. I mean, those guys. Kyle. They have all been big supporters of the walleye stuff, and so it's fun to see, So we're always hoping that one of those walleye guys or northern guys goes down there and kicks some butt. So you never know. But
I guess he's done it. So
exactly.
As far as a northern guy, anyway.
I shouldn't say that because he definitely handed it to him too. So that was awesome.
Yeah, he did. It's I'm looking forward. It'll be my first one. I got some friends from the Bassmaster side. James Hall works for Bassmaster. Jake Latranda is one of the cameramen, probably the senior cameraman that's in those boats now. He tends to get lucky. It's like if you draw Jake as your cameraman, you're winning.
Like,
yes, because Christie's had him. Fuyo, whatever his name is, had him the first one, and I don't. He wasn't in Trey's boat, I don't think, there, Dave. But he's just they're like, I got Jake, I'm gonna win.
I'm gonna win. That's how it works.
And he catches, he's always the one that catches that perfect topwater frog bite. He's just good. He's just
has the touch.
Exactly. He's good. Latrandra's Media, check him out. He's got a podcast too, and he's just the guy's got skills. He's just damn good. Been doing it for a long time. Let's see your shop. You said you got to walk around. Let's show these folks what you got going on there.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's just some of that's the laminator for the big printer and stuff. We have it on the dust thing, the big printer that you can see there. And then, let's see. Yeah, so like I said, this is the air compressor's working, but fishing lure side, that's all plastic there for twister tail grubs, whatever. The painting side of things is over there. I gotta get this lead machine. Where's the lead machine? Right in there. I can't do that. That's too hard. And then
Don't show all the secrets off, though.
yeah, oh, exactly. These guys are all working on fin gear stuff. You can see all the poles, all that stuff. There's the big oven for Cerakoting stuff. And then we got the ding-a-ling over here, Dinger. He's just he's trying to act smart over here. So
Yeah, it just kind of.
you were on the internet, Dinger. But his
Yeah.
he's got, so we're just kind of working on it right now. He's got the old Walleye X boat, as he owns the company there. So yeah, that's kind of the ordeal. That's kind of what we're about. And like I said, I mainly want to do it just because I can stay in the industry. It's one of those things where I love
Right.
what I do, and so it's been working well, and we're going to continue to work hard at it.
You know, I think they said it to you last night on Hookset. Said if you do what you love, you never work your day in your life. I'll just throw a bullshit flag on that right now and say, no, you love it, but you're still working your ass off every day of your life.
Exactly. No, 100%. It's a grind at times, and there's days where I debate what I'm doing, but there's certain days where I'm like, this is awesome. You know, I get to do it. I can get away and go fishing. You know, it's one of those things. So.
Yep, I get clients at a boat all the time. Like, well, it's better than, you know, a bad day of fishing is better than whatever, a good day of working.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is work, so a bad day of fishing sucks. And they always kind of look at me, they're like, yeah, I guess you're right. A bad day of fishing isn't better than, a good day. You need good. I'm like, no, we need good days all the way around. But I'm like, but I also just stop, pause, reflect, look around and go, dude, my office view or my office window is the boat windshield.
Yep.
I'm like, shut up. Shut up. You have no room to complain or bitch about anything. There's mornings you get up, and I'm sure you do, where you struggle and you're like, God, I want to do this crap today. I mean, I just finished my taxes, doing my taxes, right? Those are the fun things that come with owning, small business, big business, anything. And it's like, it could be worse.
Yep, exactly.
It could be a lot worse. We're able to stand up. We're able to cast. We can see. We can hear. We got our limbs and appendages. We're not getting any younger, so we have little elements probably, but
absolutely,
we're fortunate. Before we check out here, what's one little nugget to leave with these listeners on to help them in their walleye or just angling journey or into industry? Little tip.
Just work this much harder than everybody else, and it shows like this. In today's world, it's tough to find good workers, and if you can just work a little harder than everybody else and just do the extra little thing, it's going to pay off in the end. It might not show it like always. Like Brett King said, it took him 10 plus years, so just keep working at it, and eventually it'll all come around, and then hopefully you're not showing me up too bad.
Right.
I'm kind of hoping.
That couldn't be truer, especially for tournament. I mean, just in life in general, in the business, but tournament fishing is the details. The difference between first and third or fourth could be just a minor detail. Right.
One little thing.
An 8-pound versus a 12-pound fluorocarbon leader might have been the difference. Who knows? The guy's never going to tell you what it was, so you may not know. But right, it's a floating plastic versus a non-floating plastic. Just pay attention to those little details, and they make the world of difference. And clearly, harder you work, I mean, it's redundant. Work hard, it'll pay off. And it, like you said, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a long time.
Yeah, and I think that's where in today's world, everyone wants to instantaneously. Like, it's going to take some time. You just keep working at it, and it'll start getting noticed more and more and more. And you just keep pushing. Then, don't look down your nose. Just keep pushing away and go from there.
Yep. And if it doesn't pan out for you ever, you're a good hard worker, and I guarantee you somebody noticed it somewhere.
Yep, exactly.
And
you're in other ways.
Right. You'll be a hell of an employee or whatever it may be. So. Yeah. Awesome. That's good stuff. Thanks, Drake, for your time today. You're a busy, very busy man, and you need to get back at it because you got to get places tonight as well. So thanks for jumping on, and sharing all that with everybody.
Yep.
And for all of you following along, you're watching this right here on YouTube or the Walleye Guys Facebook page, we'll put some links below where you can find all of Drake's fin gear and Renegade innovation. You need to get your boat wrapped. You need to get your gear. You need to get your pole put on your boat. Like whatever it is, Drake's got you covered. They're making it. And if they're not, tell him what it is you want. He'll figure out how to make it. I'm pretty sure.
Exactly. We'll figure it out. Yeah.
He'll figure it out and get it done for you. But you can listen to this as you're driving down to the Classic as well on Spotify, Google, Amazon, whatever, all those podcast platforms. It's out there on all of them. So thanks for tuning in to Real Talk Fishing with No Limits, and we will see you on the water.